Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here.
And I'm Pinkie Pie here. We are from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos.
Pinkie Pie, you always showed up in any kind of newly released Mario Party games these days, especially after Mario Party the Top 100 about last year.
I don't care about that because either way though, I'm here to join in again.
But anyways, before we get started with this, we have ourselves our story to read. One day, trouble was brewing between Mario and his good friends.
Each claimed to be the superstar, the worthless hero is in all this land.
Mario suggests having a party to decide a time-honored tradition. Everyone agreed a proper party would surely reveal true superstardom.
What did you say, Toadette?
I say this time we're going to find out what being a superstar really means. You can trust us to be fair and impartial judges. Give us time to set up, we can get started. Aren't you forgetting something? Maybe none of you are the superstar, maybe it's one of us instead. Right, troops?
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, but we'll mention about that whenever we get to the actual gameplay here.
I brought an extra judge too.
Hey, Kamek. You want to keep an eye on things too? You know, when it's all fair and yeah. If you say so. But be careful what you wish for. Well, at least Kamek will make setting up easy. This should only take a minute. Is everyone else as exciting as I am? I doubt it.
Wait until you see what my genius was thought. Let's party!
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we'll present to you our returning formation of going back to the Mario Party series of Let's Plays once again.
And this time around though, we're now into the glorious Nintendo Switch installment,
which appears to be Super Mario Party or Mario Party 11 if, for those of you might as well able to get confused by this. So,
this is actually the 11th entry on the console Mario Party game, because even then we'll mention about more details onto that once we get this thing started. So, from the get-go, rather than just going through menu to menu, unlike any forms of the past few entries of the Mario Party series, instead, that we can able to select what character you want able to go for. Speaking of the character selection in Super Mario Party is that this game is fully updated significantly, or in this case upgraded significantly with the forms of the actual character roster so far. Obviously we still have Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Wario, Waluigi, Yoshi, and Rosalina since Mario Party the Top 100. Although Toad and Toadette wasn't a playable once again, but at least that's fine, because either way though, that in addition with the returning 8 playable characters, including some of those playable characters does make a return from the past Mario Party games for the longest amount of time, well, usually some exceptions, but also we have 3 newcomers into the mix, stuff like, well, obviously we have, you know, the usual 8 after all. But in addition with that, Donkey Kong now finally makes its return as a playable debut since Mario Party Star Rush, because the reason why he's not a playable character in the Top 100 game, this is because of how the fact that due to Mario Party 7 returning minigames and all that stuff. So, and then also, Diddy Kong makes a return ever since Mario Party Star Rush as well. So even then, it's a good thing that Diddy Kong will be able to become playable for the second time in the Mario Party series. And also, Bowser makes his debut once again ever since in Mario Party 10, but it usually utilizes both the Bowser Party and the Amiibo Party, but now he's been fully become playable, at least ever since then. Well, technically speaking, with Mario Shuffle mode, that You know how the fact that Bowser was technically playable in that mode in Star Rush, but not as heavily as he used to be. So, in addition with that, Hammer Bro finally makes its playable debut since Mario Party 8, and also same applies for Dry Bones as well, at least ever since back in Mario Party 7 and 8. So it's about time to actually have Dry Bones as a playable once again. And in addition with that, Boo and Bowser Jr. makes its playable debut once again, since last time they've become playable is Mario Party Island Tour for the 3DS. In addition with that, Koopa and Shy Guy makes their playable return ever since in Mario Party 9. And in addition with those kinds of characters makes a return, we have some newcomers, stuff like Goomba and Monty Mole and Pom Pom, which is a female counterpart of Boom Boom. Kinda weird though to be able to actually add Pom Pom as opposed to Boom Boom. Even though, mind you, Pinkie Pie, is the fact that recently we've actually got ourselves a playable character in Mario Tennis Aces at this point, which is Boom Boom, but I've no idea why they haven't included him on new forms of this game so far. So, who knows, could be potentials of DLC, but I don't know exactly when though, but I digress. So, as you can see right there on screen, we are going to be selecting Hammer Bro for this specific video, especially noticeable with the first board in the game. So even then though, before you start this off, we can either choose these 3 difficulties, depends on what challenge you want to go for. So, excuse me, I just ate some chili dogs, so I really do apologize for that. So we'll go for the harder difficulty with these computer players, or if you want to be more precise with the forms of like switching between those different characters, then you can actually talk to Blue Toad and then switch it from there alternatively. So even then though, let's just go ahead and get started. As for computer players though, we'll select Pom Pom as computer player number 1. And computer player 2 is Dry Bones. And we could even believe about the fact that, not to mention, let's not forget about that, you know, Princess Peach, of course, the Diabolical of Mario Party series, as far as a result. But either way, though, from the start, though, rather than just actually get into the forms of the actual menu style of, you know, the actual selectable menus and all that stuff, unlike in the previous Mario Party games, instead, we're actually walking around in a party hub. So even then though, this feels exactly similar to the forms of Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games for the Wii U, except the fact that it has a pretty nice frame rate, and the visuals do look a little bit more better than the forms of the lack of polish on the Wii U installment of the Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. But that's just to me anyway, because either way though, although don't get me wrong, the visuals do look very very good on the Wii U, but seems to say we move on to the Nintendo Switch, so it makes the actual visuals themselves a lot more nicer and polished at the same time. Or you can able to actually like activate the actual like party pad, which means you can able to actually traverse for those menus faster. So even then though, the modes are Mario Party, Partner Party, River Survival, Sound Stage, Challenge Road, Mini Games, Online Mario Fun, which we'll mention about more details onto that on the separate video of this, and also Toad's Rec Room, stickers, and of course entrance. And just like in any other Mario Party series at this point for our Let's Plays at this point, we'll be showing off everything. So even then though, because if you couldn't tell, in order to actually get to the forms of the other modes throughout this game, you must be sure you need to get near to the forms of that specific screen. So even then though, like for example, Mario Party, a board game played with dice, the player who finishes with the most stars wins. We'll mention about more details as soon as we get to the first board. Now as you can see, very differently as you can see right there, there's not much boards we can able to choose from. There is 3 to start off with, including one unlockable one. But even then though, at the moment we've got Whomp's Domino Ruins, as you can see right there, King Bob-omb's Powder Peak Mine, and also Mega Fruit's Paradise, and the 4th unlockable board. But even then, I was kind of ashamed that it's only 4 boards and all that stuff, which is kind of a letdown. Anyways, let's get to it with, you know, with the forms of the actual, like, the actual rules here. A board game, yeah, it just shows the exact same information. So, can you make it through the perilous Domino Ruins paths? Well, we might as well say this right now, we might say yes. But even then though, that before we get this started, however though, with the first board in Super Mario Party, as you can see that there is actually a turn system. However though, you can only do it for up to like 10 or 20 turn games. So it's no longer going to be like the 50 turn game. I think this is because of how the fact that ND Cube is once again developing this game, which is kind of a shame because either way, normally in back in Mario Party the top 100, at least in that game, did manage to able to have like 10 to 50 turn game. At least it's very understandable because of the classic Mario Party mini games they actually bring back from. But you know, you get the idea. So here we go, folks, onto the first board in Super Mario Party, and this is, well, Whomp's Domino Ruins. So, as you can tell, we are going to be going through the 20-turn game, because we'll mention more details onto that once we finish up the main first board of the game. And as you can see, that as far as you already know, Toad is going to be the host of the game, just like in the forms of how he does it back in the Mario Party 1 and Mario Party 2, and don't forget Mario Party 4, and also same applies for Mario Party the top 100. So, but that's okay, because either way though, not to mention, because this game has 20 playable characters, which is very big, considering how the fact that they did actually bring back so many playable characters from the Mario's past. Well, from the Mario Party's past installments anyway. Not all of it, mind you, because we're still missing Birdo since Mario Party 9, and we're still missing Blooper, and I think that's about it, actually. See, Venendo, I'm very happy with the forms of the actual character roster has been upgraded significantly. See, Venendo, at least I'm glad there's a thing. So, but even then though, let's get to the forms of the actual gameplay of Super Mario Party, specifically the Mario Party mode. Because as you can see on screen, it's basically a classic returning gameplay style from the Mario Party 1 through 8 aspect this time. So even then though, yeah, because if you can tell, no cars once again, because even then though, because I know for the fact that some people seem to have so many negative comeback, or in this case the negativities, with, you know, the car mechanics from the past, last few Mario Party console games. I think last time we had the Mario Party console treatment is, Mario Party 10. Yeah, which despite the fact that game was remarkably similar to... Oh, what? Oh, that was a terrific start. That's just... oh well. So, anyway though, the last time we did have, the console Mario Party title, which is, Mario Party 10, and despite this game is actually remarkably similar to the forms of Mario Party 9, I can't help but notice how the fact that it feels pretty lacking this time around. As far as the forms of like, at this point is that Mario Party 10 has almost been out for about 4 years. In addition with that, today was actually in forms of, the 2nd of March, so even then though, that today is the forms of the 7 years of Mario Party 9's release. So, yeah, it's a pretty interesting altogether. And before we get more details onto that, however though, as you can see that we can actually either select, from the start, you can either use your dice blocks, just like in the forms of how it does it previously, or you can able to actually look up on the map. Now as you can tell that the boards themselves, well, they did manage to bring back the classic elements of the Mario Party, which I really do like. However though, the actual board environment itself is pretty small in comparison to the forms of the Hudson Soft developer Mario Party titles these days. And as you can see, since we're going to keep on switching between those dice blocks, as you can see there, is because very similar to the forms of Mario Party Star Rush, is that each character does have a different dice block. Even then though, we'll mention more details onto that as soon as we get to the first minigame in Super Mario Party. So let's see what we have. Nutcases. And yes, the minigame instructions makes a return right there, and as you can see, on the footage as you can see right there, you can actually now manage to practice that at any time, rather than just trying to do it with a separate button. So anyways, nutcases. Find the crates with the most acorns. Boxes with more acorns have a stronger rumble. And the controls for this minigame is obviously move with the analog stick, then press the, I would say the right button on the Joy-Con, and to like grab and place it. And then fill the rumble is the fact that that's what the HD rumble comes in. So even then though, yeah, that's actually a pretty unique feature with the Joy-Cons themselves. Because yes, this game only be playable with the forms of the Joy-Cons, so no need by the forms of the Switch Pro controller, which I understand that most people seem to really dislike that feature. But either way though, I don't mind about it too much, because it kind of does the exact same way for how it does it for 1-2 Switch back in during the likes of in 2017. I will say though, is that this game actually has a lot more emphasis on the Joy-Cons features, which I will say though, it does remarkably better than the forms of in 1-2 Switch. I gotta point things out right away now. Even then though, we'll mention more details onto that whenever we're able to get to more game modes and all that stuff. So yeah, you get the idea for that point. So anyways though, so let's see how we can get as many of those nuts in the actual crates themselves. And even then though, that's what, you know, the HD Rumble comes in. So unfortunately, you really can't hear the forms of the HD Rumble at the moment on the forms of the actual recording session. But because of that though, yeah, you get the idea. So since we finished that, of course, this is a team-based minigame, so this means after you win, we get ourselves this sequence right there.
Ready? Yeah.
We have ourselves the Ready, Yay segment, which it only happens if you manage to able to team up with your computer players. Well, to be more specifically, if you're a human control player, because it might not work with the CPU 2 players at a time. Well, usually as far as I can tell, because of how the fact that they don't have the way to able to do that feature with computer players. So yeah, you get the idea for that point there, Pinkie Pie. I gotta tell you that now. But again, I do apologize by the forms of the dialogue itself has gone really bad today, just because I just have ourselves a pretty much a dried throat at the moment. So even then, I really must admit though, I do apologize for that. So anyways though, so we got these very familiar spaces that we all know adore, at least ever since back in the past few Mario Party installments. So we have the usual blue space, which once again adds your coins total, and if you land on the red space, then obviously it takes away your coins, and the green space with the estimation mark on it, this actually means is the event or the happening spaces, which, you know, causes the actual happening of whatever. It depends on what stage you're in. Sometimes it can either help you or sometimes screws you over, if depends on these different events. And also there is these what the Peach did land on is the forms of somehow a lucky space, which apparently is no longer going to be a musical note symbol, which is kind of odd, because even then though, because I was used to with Mario Party 8 design of you know, the lucky space in hand. But either way though, there's another thing right here, is the fact that we actually stumbled across the Koopa Paratrooper taxi right there. Even then though, we'll explain more on that later, but even then though, and also there is the actual huge emphasis on the forms of like you know, some strategies that are involved for this particular game, because well, obviously that you know how the fact that each character does have the a different design of the dice blocks, which either way, you can switch between them at any point, if depends on what turn you're in. And even then though, this gives a lot of strategy work. Sometimes there might be still luck involved, which either way though, that can cause a lot of potentials there. So anyways, let's move on to the next minigame, Cruisin' for a Bruisin'. Run from the oncoming bruisers, be careful of the pipes, bruisers might be hiding inside. So basically, it's just basically a survival minigame, and you have to run away from those bruisers from the far left. So even then though, that we need to survive as long as the forms of the actual CPUs were able to get knocked out. Now, if you can't tell from this point, is the fact that the actual minigame announcer makes a return ever since, you know, Mario Party the Top 100. But this time around though, it's now a female announcer, because either way, we haven't had a female announcer ever since back in Mario Party 1 all the way up to 5. Because even then though, it's been about 15 years since we actually last heard the female announcer, which is about time, because back in during the likes of Mario Party 6 all the way up to the top 100 Mario Party games, basically we always have a male voice by the forms of the actual minigame announcer, because even then, Well, technically in the Japanese version of Mario Party 6 and 7, they did manage to still have a female announcer and stuff like that. I think it's because of how the fact that they, I just don't know what to even think about it for the time. So yeah, you get the idea. Basically, one thing I really appreciated with this particular title, compared to the forms of Mario Party games from the past, at least the ND Cube Mario Party titles at least, is the fact that now that every single minigame only happens if the turn ends. So, yeah, I really appreciate about that kinds of stuff. Unlike any forms of in Star Rush and the Top 100, because in those two games, you have to purposely try to grab a balloon in order to actually activate the minigame, which is kind of like a better late than never, or in this case, it might actually get a little bit more coincidence of the forms of like, if you really want to play the minigame so badly, and then just have some fun with it, sometimes you always have to wait until when someone else, or anyone else for this matter, can able to grab a, let's just say a coin balloon. Yeah, it could be one of those potentials. And also same applies for Mario Party 9 and 10, despite the fact that you have to constantly need to land on that specific versus space if you know, in order to actually play minigames from, which even then, sometimes you don't usually play minigames that often in between Mario Party 9 and 10. And, well, there are some parts by the forms of an island tour, but only one board in particular that does have the ability to able to have play the minigames turn by turn, and that was of course Perilous Palace Path, and I believe also Bowser's Bizarre Volcano, which even then though that could get a little bit more potentials going on. And also, as you can see right there, we landed on the ally space, which basically the ally space is pretty much exactly similar to the forms of the ally system from Mario Party Star Rush. Because of this, if you actually, depends on what allies you're having. Like, for instance, for example, we have a Shy Guy, and basically he's got a whole bunch of 4s, but only 1 0. But even then though, this gives us a lot of good advantages whenever you're trying to do some strategies involved, especially because of how the fact that, well, if you really want to catch up to your star, then you can able to do that. Alright, so block and load in 1 vs 3 minigame. Knock over all of the blocks. The solo player's cannon needs to cool down before it can fire again. So basically use the analog stick to fire, or in this case just you move the cursor and then press the right button on the Joy-Con, depends on what Joy-Cons you'll be using, to fire the cannon. This minigame is so similar to the forms of blockbusters from Mario Party Star Rush, except the only difference is now is the fact that it's just 1 vs 3 formation. So, because obviously the team of 1 can able to have a larger cannon shot, whilst the forms of the team of 3 needs to able to actually use the cannon separately. So even then though, sometimes you need to split up in order to actually just decide to knock those every single blocks in. However though, in a team of 1 does need to get a bit of some time to able to let the actual cannon cool down a bit until whenever they start to fire it up again. So yeah, it's one of those things how the fact that sometimes it takes a while to recharge. So, well, at least it only took about like 5 seconds until it charges up. So, and after that, then obviously rinse and repeat with the forms of how this game structure wise, which I will say though, this game, as far as ND Cube projects, as far as I'm concerned, with the ND Cube developer Mario Party titles so far, this is easily one of the best entries of the ND Cube Mario Party titles in my opinion. It's because, well, it did it so much more better to me than the forms of in the top 100. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the mini games still from the top 100. However though, the amount of content in the top 100 is pretty lackluster, especially because there was only one freaking board on the top 100. At least in Super Mario Party, they did manage to have 4 boards, but at least they did have some variety, but I kinda wish there's more to it, unlike any forms of how it does it in, let's just say for example, in Mario Party 9 and Island Tour, at least in those 2 games, do seem to have 7 boards. And then in Mario Party 10, seems to have 5 boards on Mario Party mode, but 3 boards on Bowser Party mode. And in Star Rush's case, not only do we get ourselves 15 stages in Toad Scramble mode,
but 3 other boards as well on Balloon Bash mode. So that was a total of 18 of them. So why couldn't this be a thing? Like, add in, I don't know, even more party boards than ever? I don't know, because even then though, Nintendo is quite strict sometimes whenever you think about yourselves if the DLC of Super Mario Party will be a thing. But I'm guessing because of how the fact that I just wish if DLC will become a thing in the forms in the Mario Party series. Well, at least this has to be it. So yeah, as far as the actual star system in this game is concerned, it's very much like how it did back in Mario Party Star Rush and Mario Party the Top 100, specifically on a grid-based game board and all that stuff. Well, at least in Star Rush case, with Balloon Bash mode, basically once again the actual total price in order to actually pay a star is of course 10 coins. So I don't know why they still managed to keep it as a 10 coin tradition. I kind of wish that there was an opportunity that you could able to actually just go ahead and just, you know, buy the star for about 20 coins. I mean, not that complicated either. On second thought, frick it, we'll just take a red space. Fine, be that way, Sonic, be that way. Although it's not my fault or anything, it's just that, well, I just really don't want to land on that happening space right there, because it'll able to take us back. Off the chain on 1 vs 3 minigame. So, ride the chain jump into your rifles, the defending team wins even if only one of them is left standing. So, solo sides can able to use the analog stick to, aim with the chain jump. And as far as this team side, or in this case, the side team, rather, or the team of 3, is just simply move around and trying to avoid the chain jump. So this game is kind of like a combination of both the Flatterer from Mario Party 4 and also at the same time Chain Jump Fever from Mario Party 4, but except this, it's like a combination of those two minigames from the previous Mario Party games. The only difference is the fact that it's obviously 1 vs 3, even though this particular concept is exactly similar to Flatterer from Mario Party 5, but rather than just trying to balancing on the ball, instead you're actually going to have a real fun ride with the chain jump himself. So that's a pretty fun one, I'm going to admit that right away. So yeah, if the minigame is over, then, it just transports you back to the forms of not only the results screen currently, but also by the forms of the actual next turn proceedings. So, I really do love the actual gameplay. The classic gameplay style makes a return now. So even then, I really appreciate how the fact that that's been in existence. So, yeah, you already said that though, Sonic. Oh yeah, most likely though is because of how the fact that I really do miss the old days back in Mario Party 1 through 8. Because either way, I don't have as many issues by the forms of the latest Mario Party games, but forget it. Anyways though, as far as items are concerned, they once again managed to get its own thing as well. Like for instance, the mushroom still makes a return, like the dash mushrooms, which allows you to able to add 3 spaces. If depends on what numbers you'll be having, then the more movement you can get. So even then, it's kind of like how we did on let's just say Mario Party Island Tour and Mario Party Star Rush and the Top 100. So at least to be more specifically though, Sonic is the 3DS installments. And there's also a Golden Dash Mushroom, which once again allows you to able to add 5 add up to your movement spaces, which either way, just like in the forms of how it does it in Mario Party Island Tour, Star Rush, and the Top 100. Yeah, at least as far as you're actually comparing those between a few. So yeah, you get the actual identity for this point. Alright, so Dry Bones gets a 1, and yeah, that's as far as memories goes, and oh my god, did he really get that lucky part right there? Oh yeah, would you believe it, the hidden blocks makes a return. Ever since back in Mario Party 2, all the way up to Mario Party 5, so I was pretty shocked by that, and I was a little bit more anxious about the fact that the hidden blocks is making its return. So yeah, you did expect it though, don't you? And of course we'll take a 0, and at least it's okay, we can move 1, But I don't think that is enough. That wasn't enough, though, Pinky. I'm gonna tell you that now.
Alright, so the next minigame we have is once again a 4-player minigame.
But we have a different minigame to play around with, is Lost in the Shuffle. This minigame can be very difficult though. Find a doll with the most mini dolls inside. Try not to blink during the shuffle. So
basically move the analog stick to move your cursor and press the right button on the Joy-Con to able to select which doll you want to select.
But as I said this before, this minigame can get pretty difficult if you do not pay attention to the actual, like, the majority of the mini dolls right here. Because either way, well, as long as they get into the actual slow start, it should be fine for the most part. But later on, it gets pretty freaking ridiculous, as you can see right there. Because sometimes I easily lose track of myself. I'm guessing that might be it.
Let's just find out.
Oh, we're screwed.
Dang it.
See, this is what I mean. This minigame is so tough and difficult. Even if you really want to get that, you know, the final few mini dolls in hand. But at least I'll give this some credit for they did make this game a little bit more challenging for most people. So it's been like this shell game, but only a lot more tougher. So at least as far as I've usually experiencing that. So Dry Bones is still in first place at the moment. So we still need to able to get a little bit more further ahead when it comes to like getting high rolls and stuff. So yeah, I think that's all I can really say about the forms of Super Mario Party, honestly. Sure, there are some other modes we could able to actually show off. Well, at least for the most part until later on. So as far as if you couldn't tell at this point, from this point folks, we'll be uploading most of these Super Mario Party Let's Play videos. It's going to be most likely focusing on the weekends, because obviously there are some other other Let's Plays that it needs to be focusing on at this point. So I think that maybe seems the case though. And thankfully though, as soon as we're able to continue proceeding with this particular Let's Play, which is the forms of Super Mario Party if you couldn't tell, thankfully though, it's going to be a lot more longer than the forms of the actual shorter length of the Let's Play of Mario Party the Top 100. So even though, because you know, the Top 100 is pretty lacking with replayability.
Oh, screw you.
Yeah, basically, like it 2's act out very similar to the boost system from Mario Party 1, 2, 3, and especially 4, and Chain Jump from Mario Party 5, and a Pink Boo from Mario Party 6, because I don't think in Mario Party 7 doesn't have that specific feature, because it actually act out as like an orb system. So, but even then though, it'll once again use steal coins and stars from any opponents. So yeah, that makes it a total explanation for that kind of stuff. So even though now it's our turn now.